How do you do? This is Trixie the Golden Witch, ranting, raving, Ota Queen, and Mother of Annie Tube, and you've made it to another episode of ASC Presents Yig Studios Vlogust, the month of vlogs that I'm doing because I turned 31, and there are 31 days in August. What do you know? And wouldn't you also happen to know that I'm making a crazy, insane announcement at the end of the month? The kind of thing that flays your mind. It'll make you believe in Cthulhu demons. You'll think that money ain't real, time ain't real. Actually, that's just true. But, you know, today I'm doing lyrical analysis. This is actually an advertisement for my music review channel, What You Reviewin'. It was inactive for a little while. I was doing, like, pretty regular reviews last time I was hanging out with ASC Presents, and so I wanted to bring it back now that I'm hanging out with them again. And I just did a big review of Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City, the album that sort of reintroduced me to hip-hop back in 2012. I can't believe it's already been a decade. Holy shit. Anyways, I'm going to talk about Schism by Tool because I've always wanted to do lyrical analysis content on YouTube, and this is the song that I think most deserves it. Partly because it's a massive rock hit that has stayed on the radio ever since it came out in like 2001. So I kind of grew up with this song, being myself born in 1991. I was 10 when I first saw the music video for this, and it fucking haunted me. It was terrifying. The part where he's pulling the veins out of the other dude's neck. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should watch the music video for Schism by Tool. It's gnarly. All the Tool videos are done by this incredible visual artist who's friends with the band. All of them are so symbolically cryptic that they often make the point of the song even harder to decipher than what the lyrics would have. And Tool did not provide lyrics with their albums when they released them. There was no lyrics in the booklet that came with the album. There were no accurate lyrics online. So, like, looking into this song, like, I had disagreements with the people who were transcribing what they thought the lyrics were, like, on early internet, back in the, like, early 2000s. At this point, when I Google Schism by Tool and I get the lyrics that come up, I don't know if this is because Tool has, like, given official lyrics to someone at some point, but I'm pretty confident these are correct. The hardest part to decipher in this song is always, to me, been like the very last lyric, where I had thought they were saying their dreams are frozen rubber, which thematically would have fit with the song, but it's not what it is. I had seen lots of other interpretations online, but what it says here, between supposed lovers / brothers, when I read that and then listened to it, I was like, okay, yeah, that's definitely what they're saying. Like, it just, sometimes it just takes seeing someone tell you what it is, and then it's, like, obvious all of a sudden, even though it was almost indecipherable to me for the last 20 years. So I feel like I can do this lyrical analysis now because I'm confident that these are the accurate lyrics to Schism by Tool. I appreciate that the reason that Tool never provided lyrics is that they didn't want people to choose any one interpretation of the song. They wanted you to see in it what you see in it. And I'll even explain why I had thought that line was what I thought it was for so long when I get to that point, just because I think that it would go against the intentions of when they created these songs if like I was saying, oh, well, I was wrong for thinking that it was that. You know, I was wrong for wanting the lyric to be this thing that also works. I'm satisfied with what the lyric actually is, so I'm not, like, upset about, you know, the interpretation being different in that way. But, you know, I think it's really interesting that Tool allowed people to figure out their own meaning from these songs. And so, you know, don't let me discourage you from thinking that whatever you already thought was true about this song continues to be. It's as true as this is. Just hold both truths in your mind at once. That's what this song would encourage you to do, based on my reading. Schism. It's about communication breakdown. The whole song, it's pretty forward about that aspect, actually, because lingering on the word communication is pretty much how every verse ends, and even, like, the hook of, you know, Strength and Now, communication. So, like, he's putting that pretty forward as, like, this is the word, the central thesis of this here song. But what he keeps repeating at the start of each verse is, I know the pieces fit because I watched them fall away. So basically, the thesis of this song is that there shouldn't be a schism. Everything fits together. It all makes sense. And he knows it all makes sense because it all made sense at some point. And he watched how it stopped making sense. Mildewed and smoldering. Fundamental differing. So basically, at this point, the pieces have been fallen away for a very long time. Mildewed implies that, like, you know, it's literally like caked over with grass, like post-apocalyptic almost, like especially with the smoldering imagery. It makes me think like everything got blown up and is now in a state of disarray that has already collected mildew, and it's because of a fundamental differing. The two halves that are having a schism, there's something fundamentally different about them that caused this falling away. Pure intention juxtaposed will set two lovers' souls in motion. So he's saying that these two people who have the schism are lovers, but their intentions are different, and the juxtaposition of their intentions, placing them against each other, sets their souls in motion, disintegrating as it goes, testing our communication. So basically, the more that these two differing halves that are in love with one another try to, like, get whatever they want, the more that they have difficulty with each other, and the more the communication breaks down and they find themselves falling away. The light that fueled our fire then has burned a hole between us so. So the very thing that was like what brought these lovers together was the feeling that they could, like, you know, join together and get something out of their communication, but the fact that they didn't is exactly what has burned them away from each other. So it's like the very thing that brings them together is what burns them and sets them apart. We cannot see to reach an end, crippling our communication. So yeah, like just the fact that they never come to a full agreement, they can never quite breach the schism, is what keeps the communication from ever really being achieved. I know the pieces fit because I watched them tumble down, sort of repeating the thesis as we go into the next verse. No fault, none to blame. It doesn't mean I don't desire to point the finger, blame the other, and watch the temple topple over. To bring the pieces back together, rediscover communication. So right now he's expressing a desire for two exactly different things. On one point, he doesn't think that he can blame either part of the schism. It's just the way it is. It's just the nature of trying to communicate that has caused this problem. So he doesn't think anyone's to blame, but it doesn't make him any less desire to place blame and just let it all end, but also doesn't reduce his desire to put the pieces back together and rediscover communication. So he's equal parts wanting it to end and wanting it to continue. The poetry that comes from the squaring off between and the circling is worth it, finding beauty in the dissonance. This is the part of the track where it really gets chaotic and swirling and combative, and it sounds like the halves have come together. Like, everything is musically moving much more tightly and in concert than before, where, like, you know, the guitars and the drums and everything kind of have this disconnect and this dreary, kind of delirious feeling to it, where it's all off time and dissociated. Whereas at this part, everything is clashing, it's heavy, and he's screaming the poetry that comes from the squaring off between and the circling is worth it, finding beauty in the dissonance. So even though, like, what's being played here is heavy, dissonant guitars, because of the fact that all of it has come together and is clashing in this really awesome way, like, this is the cool part of the song. This is the awesome bit that really draws you in and makes you like, oh, fuck, yeah, we're taking off, you know? And then we crash into the verse coming back, but everything is a little bit more rough and, like, colliding, and, like, it feels like all the parts are a little bit more together than they were the last time that the verse came through. There was a time that the pieces fit, but I watched them fall away, mildewed and smoldering, strangled by our coveting. So again, he's saying that it's the desire, the desire to push the communication too far, the desire to get more for one half is what constantly pushes them into the you know, past the boundary of the other half that causes the clash and causes the division to happen again. I've done the math enough to know the dangers of our second guessing. doomed to crumble unless we grow and strengthen our communication. So ultimately, his, conclusion is like, look, I think we can do this. I think we can communicate, but we're doomed to crumble unless we grow. The only way we can do it is through growth, and he knows that the way to grow is through less second guessing. He's done the math enough to know that. The dangers of the second guessing are what will doom you to crumble. So you must grow by not second guessing and strengthen your communication. At this point in the song, it becomes its most cold and distant. It really kind of slips away and becomes sort of feeble. And it feels like we're being opened up to see like the core sentiment, the core fear that is causing this communication breakdown. Cold silence has a tendency to atrophy any sense of compassion between supposed lovers. And basically it just means that if you are not communicating, whether it be with yourself, with your partner, with whoever you're trying to communicate with, then it leaves it entirely on them to form their own narrative about you. And so the more you're silent, the more that each of you goes off into your own world, crafts your own reality, where the temple of whatever you had built together is just no longer built. You are now off somewhere else and not involved. And so it takes that constant attempt, that constant willingness to continue to clash to make the communication continue. And so as he calls out between supposed lovers over and over, and the music comes together in this big epic crescendo, and finally at the end of the song he's just screaming, growling, I know the pieces fit, I know the pieces fit, I know the pieces fit, until it all comes together in a fucking epic climax. And I really think Tool, they know how to end a song like nobody else. In this modern music era, a lot of songs just kind of fade out, they just kind of go into the next one. Tool songs end definitively. There's always like a big, a meeting of all the instruments into something that's like tangible force that hits you over the head and makes you go like, holy shit, like that really just happened. Like it's definitive. So yeah, this song, I take it most fundamentally as addressing like the hemispheres of the brain, particularly when he addresses the other, which I've always looked at as the sort of non-communicative part of your psyche, the part that doesn't get filtered through the part that does words. It's hard to explain this kind of thing without sending people into mind holes, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but Schism by Tool, Tool in general is a mind hole of a band. If you've ever looked at all the artwork and watched the videos, like, it's very much trying to activate something in you to start considering yourself, considering your surroundings, your relationship with the world, your relationship with other people, and how you can better all of those things. I definitely would consider it meditative self-betterment music for deeply angry people. So yeah, that's my review and analysis of Schism, breaking down all the lyrics. Classic song, one of my favorites. Go to the Watch Reviewing channel to hear more like this. I'm going to do more lyrical breakdowns, more album reviews, track reviews, all kinds of reviews. Cranberry Dave and Dyron Miller, who both have co-reviewed with me on this channel already, are going to be posting reviews of music up there as well. So, subscribe to get all of our thoughts on all of the coolest tracks out there. You can find the rest of my links online. It seems like my house is burning down. I'm going to go figure out what's happening later.
I've burned the one's house, and with it her. I've brought these two back to the factory. Are you sure I shouldn't finish them now? As you wish. Alohomora.
God, them people, they won't get in my ass. I'm not gay. God damn it.